Celtic fans, strap in. Today we're diving into one of the more intriguing, maybe even underrated signings of the summer window, Sebastian Tierney. A name that maybe didn't cause shockwaves when it popped up, but make no mistake, this lad could be something special. It's a deal worth around £5 million, and while all eyes were focused elsewhere during the madness of the window, this one quietly slid through. But here's the thing. The more you learn about Tierney, the more you realize this transfer might just be one of the most clever bits of business Celtic have done in a while. Now, let's be honest, most of us didn't know a whole lot about him when the deal got announced. He's not a household name, and his journey isn't the kind you see plastered across headlines. But that's exactly why he's so interesting. We're not talking about some overhyped wonder kid who's been on the radar for years. This is a player who's been grafting quietly in Scandinavia, developing fast, and now, all of a sudden, he's landed in Glasgow. The big question is, who exactly is Sebastian Tierney, and what can he bring to Celtic? So let's start from the beginning. Tierney is Norwegian-born, but his footballing identity is a little more complex. Internationally, he represents Tunisia. That's right. Born in Norway, raised in the Norwegian football system, but chose to wear the colors of Tunisia on the international stage. It adds a layer of spice to his story and gives you an idea of the unique background he comes from. He played the majority of his early career in Norway, with a short loan spell in the Netherlands, and only earlier this year made the jump to Sweden, signing for Hammarby. And here's the kicker. He was only there for about 6 months before Celtic came calling. Now think about that for a second. Signed in February by Hammarby, hit the ground running, and by August he was packing his bags again for another big move. That doesn't happen unless you're doing something very, very right. And according to those who've watched him closely, including analysts and scouts over in Sweden, Tierney didn't just impress. He exploded onto the scene. One analyst described him as a player with that rare X factor. You know the kind. Not just quick, not just technical, but someone who can actually change a game. A winger who's got the audacity to take on 1, 2, even 3 defenders, and make something happen when the team's stuck. And when you look at the numbers, the real data behind the performances, it backs it all up. He's right up there for dribbles completed and progressive runs. He's not just out there putting in shifts. He's breaking lines, creating space, and pulling defenders out of position. He's the sort of player who forces teams to adjust mid-match. Now, position-wise, he's almost always been used as a left winger, both in Norway and Sweden. Hammarby played either a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, and Tierney was always out on that left flank, cutting in, stretching the game, and making things happen. And while some wingers can get away with just hanging out wide and recycling possession, Tierney's the kind who wants to get to goal. He's direct, aggressive in the way he plays, and he's got that kind of raw creativity Celtic have been sorely missing since the injury to Hoda. He's not a finished product. That much is clear. There's still work to be done, especially when it comes to his goal output. Yes, he's chipped in with a few, including a goal on his debut for Hammarby in the Swedish Cup. And yes, he's been heavily involved in the build-up to goals, even if he doesn't always get the assist or the stat to show for it. But in terms of actually converting chances himself, there's room to grow. Some critics in Sweden said he needed to be more clinical, take more shots, trust his own ability in the final third. But here's the thing. He was operating in a side that sometimes struggled to convert the chances he created. So the stats don't always tell the full story. What's interesting is that Hammarby, who were pushing for the title in Sweden, didn't even want to sell him. They saw him as a long-term piece in a youthful, attacking project. But the combination of a decent fee from Celtic and the fact they'd slipped a bit in the title race changed their stance. Suddenly, the opportunity to cash in was too good to pass up. And when you consider they'd only had him for half a year, you get a sense of just how fast he was developing and how high his ceiling might actually be. Now let's talk about how he might fit into this Celtic side. The team's been crying out for some flair, some unpredictability in attack. There's been a noticeable lack of creativity in the final third, especially with Hoda sidelined. And while the club has brought in other wingers, including one from Belgium, the issue has been finding someone who can actually unlock a defense when Plan A isn't working. Tierney, if he adapts quickly, could be that guy. He's got the mentality for it too. Those close to him in Sweden described him as humble, grounded, and always ready to learn. He's not one to throw a strop if a match gets physical. He'll get up, dust himself off, and try again. And when asked about modern football being too tactical or too rigid, he simply said, "I just want to be a showman." That says a lot about the kind of player he is. Someone who wants to entertain, who wants to be the one that kids in the stands remember after the full-time whistle. And look, adapting to Scottish football isn't easy. It's fast, it's physical, and the pressure is relentless, especially at a club like Celtic where the demand to win every match is sky-high. But everything we've seen so far suggests that Tierney doesn't get phased. From moving from a relegation-threatened side in Norway to one of the biggest clubs in Sweden, he didn't just survive. He thrived. He scored, he created, and he became a key man almost instantly. That bodes well for his transition to Glasgow. Physically, he's ready too. The Swedish league runs on a calendar year schedule, so he's already played around 25 matches this year. He's been active, match-sharp, and even featured for the Tunisian national team recently. So in terms of fitness, he could be ready to go right away. There's always a risk of burnout when a player has been going full throttle since January, but Hammarby were careful with him, gave him short breaks when needed, and managed his minutes well. So as long as Celtic staff are smart about his workload, there shouldn't be any issues. And again, at only 23 years old, he's nowhere near his ceiling. Some believe he's got another level in him. That Celtic is not his final destination, but the next stepping stone. Maybe in a year or two, we're talking about a move to one of the top 5 leagues. But for now, he's ours, and he could be just the spark Celtic need in what's been a stuttering attack. One thing that stands out about Tierney, and it's something fans will notice right away, is just how relentless he is. Some players go missing when things aren't going their way. Heads drop, the effort dips, and you can almost sense they've checked out of the game. Tierney's not that type of player. Whether he's getting kicked up and down the pitch or struggling to find space, he keeps going. It's in his nature. He doesn't shy away from the ball, doesn't disappear. In fact, some of his best moments come because he refuses to give up on a play. That's the kind of attitude fans at Celtic Park appreciate and demand. When you look at his time in Sweden, what's impressive is how quickly he adapted. The Swedish top flight is no walk in the park. It's a league with decent tempo, plenty of tactical nuance, and defenders who don't take prisoners. Tierney came into Hammarby, scored on his debut, and never looked back. He became a regular starter almost instantly, not just fitting into the system, but standing out in it. For a player making that kind of leap, new country, new culture, bigger expectations, that says a lot. And while the goals might not have flown in, his impact on games was obvious. He was involved in almost every attacking move, pulling defenders wide, opening up space, and delivering balls into dangerous areas. At times, he was creating chances that didn't get finished, not because the passes weren't good, but because the end product just wasn't there from his teammates. That's why, when you look at his goal and assist stats, they don't paint the full picture. The raw numbers may look modest, but the influence he had in matches was massive. In fact, some of the most telling moments came from plays where he didn't even get credit on the stat sheet. Rebounds from his shots that led to goals, deflected crosses that caused chaos in the box, or runs that dragged defenders away to free up a teammate. It's the kind of stuff that doesn't show up in a highlight reel, but changes matches all the same. Now, defensively, he's not the most aggressive presser, but he's smart. He tracks back when needed, knows how to read the game, and doesn't leave his fullback hanging out to dry. That balance, being a flair player who's also responsible, is a rare combo, especially for someone still so young. And then there's his versatility, or rather, the limits of it. Some fans have wondered whether he could be used on the right wing, especially with depth issues in that area. But the truth is, Tierney's a pure left winger. That's where he's at his most dangerous. He's not ambidextrous in the way some wide players are. His rhythm, his movement, his confidence, it all flows better on the left. In Norway and Sweden, that's where he did his damage. Could he do a job on the right in a pinch? Maybe. But if Celtic want to get the best out of him, it's on that left flank, driving at defenders, cutting inside, and linking up with the striker. His dribbling is arguably his strongest weapon. He's not just fast, he's got that low center of gravity, that ability to shift direction quickly and beat a man with a drop of the shoulder. He's not afraid to take risks, and he's the kind of player who's always looking to make something happen. That sort of mentality can be frustrating if it doesn't come off, but when it does, it can be devastating. And Celtic need more of that chaos in the final third. Too many matches lately have felt predictable. Possession for possession's sake, with little to no incision. Tierney brings unpredictability. He brings edge. You also have to factor in the cultural side of the move. Coming from Scandinavia, where the atmosphere is generally more relaxed, into the pressure cooker of Glasgow, it's not always easy. But by all accounts, Tierney's got the right personality for it. He's calm, focused, humble. He doesn't buy into the hype, but he also doesn't shy away from the spotlight. He's not out there for Instagram fame or flashy headlines. He wants to play, he wants to express himself, and he wants to win. And when you think about the legacy of Scandinavian players at Celtic, from Henrik Larsson to Johan Jolby, it's a region that's produced some real icons for the club. Now, we're not saying Tierney is the next king of kings. Let's not get carried away. But there's something poetic about another Scandinavian winger arriving at Celtic Park with the chance to carve out his own story. What makes the timing of this signing even more interesting is that it comes at a moment when the squad desperately needed fresh energy. Injuries, inconsistent form, and a lack of goals had fans questioning whether enough had been done in the transfer market. Tierney might not be the blockbuster name people were screaming for, but he could end up being exactly what was needed: a spark, a bit of flair, and someone who plays with freedom and confidence. And let's not ignore the fact that he's coming into a Celtic side that, for all its recent struggles, still dominates most domestic matches. That suits him. He's used to playing in a team that sees a lot of the ball, pushes high up the pitch, and needs to unlock tight defenses. That's been his role at Hammarby, and it'll be his role here too. He's also already had a taste of European football this season, having played in European qualifiers with Hammarby. So the stage won't be completely foreign to him. That experience could be invaluable if Celtic progress in Europe this season. Because as we know, it's not just about what you do in the league. It's about showing up on those European nights under the lights at Celtic Park. And players like Tierney, with that fearlessness and ability to make things happen in a flash, are exactly the kind of players who can turn those nights into something special. There's a buzz starting to build around him, and rightfully so. He's not a player who demands the spotlight, but you can tell he's ready for it. Ready for the songs, the pressure, the expectations, the noise. And at Celtic, that noise never stops. Every touch, every miss, every bit of magic, it's all under the microscope. But something tells you, he wouldn't want it any other way. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The streets of Glasgow are buzzing, and the chatter in the pubs feels louder than usual. Word has it that Bojan Miovski, the prolific Macedonian striker who carved his reputation north of the River Don, has finally put pen to paper with Celtic. For weeks the rumor mill has been spinning, whispers bouncing from Parkhead to Pittodrie, but now the talk carries the weight of inevitability. Supporters are calling it a deal that could shift the balance of firepower in Scotland's top flight. Miovski, known for his sharp instincts inside the box and a knack for being in the right place when it matters, has been a thorn in the side of defenses across the league. His movement off the ball and his coolness in front of goal marked him out as one of the most feared strikers outside Glasgow's Big Two. Now, with the green and white hoops on his chest, there's a sense he could elevate Celtic's attack to another level, bringing not just goals, but a touch of unpredictability. There are whispers that Ange Postecoglou's system is tailor-made for a forward like Miovski, though nothing official has yet been confirmed about tactical adjustments. Fans imagine him feeding off the creativity of Celtic's midfield, slotting home chances with the same composure he showed time and again for Aberdeen. The murmurs suggest Celtic may finally have secured the reliable finisher they've long been craving to complement their existing attacking options. Of course, in the world of Scottish football gossip, nothing is certain until the scarf is held aloft on the Celtic Park pitch. Yet, this feels different. There's a spark in the air, a rising hum of excitement, and even those inclined to skepticism are starting to believe. Could this be the signing that defines the season? For now, it's just a rumor, passed along with a knowing nod and a raised pine. But the word from the East End is clear: Bojan Miovski is a boy. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.